Listen. Before you see it, you hear it. The peal of church bells echoing across a wide grey river. It is November 17th, 1558. The air is thick with the smell of wood smoke, roasting meat, and the stale odours of a crowded city. Queen Mary I has just died, and her 25-year-old half-sister, Elizabeth, is about to ascend the throne. The city is holding its breath. Now, look down. You are hovering over the River Thames, panning across a sprawling, dense maze of timber-framed houses, soaring stone spires, and a fortress that looks like it was carved from a nightmare. This is Tudor London. Right now, London is a city of roughly 100,000 souls, just over 100,000 by the mid-16th century, but it is exploding in size. It is a place of brutal contradictions, unimaginable wealth and staggering poverty, profound religious devotion, and ruthless political backstabbing.
For the next several centuries, this muddy, overcrowded, plague-ridden port town will evolve into one of the leading. Westminster, where justice and intrigue meet centers of a global empire, shaping trade, culture, and politics far beyond England. But before the empire, before the Great Fire wiped it all clean, there was this, the original raw timber-built metropolis. In this video, we are going to use AI and historical maps and records to strip away the steel and glass of the modern skyline. We are taking you back to 1558 to walk the narrow, shadow-drenched streets of Tudor London, at the start of Elizabeth I's reign. To understand London in 1558, you first have to understand that it wasn't one unified city. It was a patchwork of jurisdictions. To the east, you had the City of London, the financial powerhouse, the merchant hub, a walled core of commerce. But to the west, situated at a safe distance from the stench and the mobs, lay Westminster. This is the political brain of the nation. Imagine you are walking into Westminster Hall. It is a colossal medieval structure with the largest surviving medieval timber roof in Northern Europe. Look up at that magnificent hammer beam roof, suspended in the gloom, like the ribs of a giant wooden whale. This is a Whitehall, Europe's largest royal labyrinth, central stage for royal justice and ceremony, the ceremonial heart of the kingdom. This room hums with tension. The walls here have witnessed the higher stakes of Tudor drama. It was here that Thomas More stood trial for his life. It is here that great trials are held. Enemies of the state are condemned, and the fate of the nation is decided over whispered conversations in the corners. If you are a noble in 1558, you know that a single misstep in this hall doesn't just lose you your job, it can ruin your future and sometimes much worse. Westminster is a political meat grinder, and the young Queen Elizabeth is about to step right into the center of it. If Westminster Hall is where the business of the state is done, where does the monarch actually live? We are moving just a short distance along the river to the Palace of Whitehall, and Palace doesn't quite do it justice. Whitehall is a compound. It is a sprawling, chaotic 23-acre labyrinth of red brick, timber, and manicured gardens. By this time, it is often described as the largest palace in Europe, boasting over 1,500 rooms on a scale that astonished contemporaries. Southwark, blood sports, and the original Vegas. Let's step inside the gates. The palace is divided into two worlds. First, you have the public-facing ceremonial spaces, the Great Hall and the Presence Chamber. This is pure architectural theater. Tapestries woven with gold thread line the walls. Massive fireplaces roar, and the floors are strewn with rushes. This is designed to intimidate foreign ambassadors and keep the nobility a ruck. But if you are lucky enough to pass through the heavily guarded doors into the Privy Chamber, the Queen's private apartments, the scale shrinks. Here it's about absolute control. And if you look to the fringes of the palace, you'll see the ultimate Tudor indoor playground. Henry VIII, Elizabeth's father, was obsessed with sports, and Whitehall included recreational facilities, tennis courts, and spaces for blood sports. Imagine the lords of the realm dressed in silk and velvet, screaming over a bloody match in a private arena, just yards away from where the nation's diplomacy was conducted. Further along the river on a street called the Strand, the ultra-wealthy nobles have built their own mini Old St. Paul's, the megacity's first indoor mall palaces. They all back directly onto the Thames, because in 1558, you don't take a carriage if you have money. You take a private barge. The river is the VIP highway of Tudor London. Now let's leave the polished halls of the nobility and cross the river to the south bank. Welcome to Southwark. If the city of London is strict and puritanical, Southwark is the Las Vegas of the 16th century. Much of it sits just outside the city's direct control, making it a haven for everything the authorities despise. Imagine you are an apprentice with a few coins in your pocket on a rare afternoon off. The noise hits you like a physical war. The air smells of cheap ale, roasting meat, and sweat. This is the entertainment district. While the famous Globe Theatre won't be built for another few decades, the appetite for spectacle is already insatiable. Right now, the ultimate obsession is blood sports. We are standing outside a bear garden. It's a circular wooden arena open to the sky, packed to the rafters with a roaring crowd from every social class. In the center ring, a massive bear is chained to a post, fighting off a pack of mastiff dogs. It is brutal, deafening, and wildly popular. Even at court, such spectacles have their admirers. To the Tudor mind, Traitor's Gate, the fortress from a nightmare. This isn't animal cruelty, it's primetime entertainment. You can place your bets, drink strong ale from a leather tankard, and rub shoulders with pickpockets, merchants, and off-duty soldiers. Surrounding the arenas are countless taverns and brothels, famously licensed and taxed within the local Bishop of Winchester's liberty, earning the working women the nickname Winchester Geese. Southwark is London's id, a pressure valve for a dangerously overcrowded city. If we look back across the river, dominating the entire skyline is a structure that might look entirely unfamiliar to you today. This is not the domed St. Paul's Cathedral built by Christopher Wren. This is Old St. Paul's, a terrifyingly massive Gothic behemoth that has stood for hundreds of years. At this point, its central spire is traditionally given as about 489 feet, making it one of the tallest structures in Europe. Let's walk through the giant wooden doors into the nave. Prepare to be shocked. You expect hushed reverence, but what you get is a bustling indoor marketplace. The central aisle, known as Paul's Walk, is the absolute center of London gossip and commerce. Lawyers are meeting clients at specific pillars. Merchants are haggling over textiles. Pickpockets are working the crowd. Prostitutes are London Bridge. Life on the world's most dangerous bridge looking for clients. People are even using the cathedral as a shortcut, leading mules and carrying baskets of fish right through the sacred space. But make no mistake, religion in 1558 is a matter of life and death. Outside the cathedral stands Paul's Cross, an open-air pulpit. This is the Tudor equivalent of mass media. When a preacher speaks here, he is delivering the official narrative of the government. In the last 20 years, the people of London have been forced to change their religion from Catholic to Protestant, back to Catholic, and now under Elizabeth, back to Protestant. People are exhausted and terrified. Religious nonconformity can be punished with extreme severity, including execution. Old St. Paul's is the physical manifestation of that massive, unyielding religious power. To enforce that power, the crown relies on a structure that needs no introduction. Dominating the eastern edge of the city, right on the water, sits the Tower of London. By 1558, the tower is no longer the primary royal residence. It is a fortress, an armory, and most famously, a terrifying state prison. Let's drift down the Thames and look at Traitor's Gate. Imagine the psychological terror of being rowed through this dark water gate, the iron portcullis grinding down behind you. It is a one-way ticket for queens, nobles, and religious dissident. Legacy: how Tudor London built the future. Guarding this complex are the Yemen warders. Forget the friendly tour guides of today. In 1558, these are hardened guards of the royal household and garrison. Picture a Tudor guardsman clad in heavy padded canvas and a steel breastplate carrying a wicked-looking polearm called a halberd, a weapon built for hooking and hacking in close combat. They are fiercely loyal to the monarch, but their presence is a constant reminder of the fragility of Tudor rule. Rebellions are a real and constant threat. The tower is heavily armed with cannons, formidable weapons that defend the river approaches, and in moments of unrest can serve as a stark instrument of intimidation. It is a message in stone. The monarchy is watching, and it is armed. So how does this wooden megacity actually function? How do 100,000 people eat, drink, and move? Let's experience a day in the life of an ordinary merchant. You wake up in a house built in a style called jettying. Because land is so expensive, builders expand the upper floors of the houses outward over the street. As you step out of your door, look up. The buildings lean so far forward that they almost touch the houses across the alley. They block out the sun, turn the streets below into dark, damp tunnels. Even at high noon, the first thing you notice is the mud. Except it's not just mud. There is no modern underground sewer network. Human waste, butchered animal parts, and rotting vegetables often end up in open street drains and gutters, eventually washing down toward the Thames. The Thames, it is the city's main highway and a river that shapes daily life, even as it grows increasingly polluted. Because the streets are so narrow and congested with carts and animals, anyone who needs to get anywhere fast takes a boat. Watermen shouting and cursing ferry passengers across the water in small wooden wherries. To get your fresh water, you don't use a tap. You wait for a water bearer, a man carrying huge wooden tankers on his shoulders who has drawn water from public conduits or the slightly less polluted streams north of the city. And then there is the crowning engineering marvel of the city, London Bridge. This isn't just a bridge. It's a living, breathing neighborhood suspended over rushing water. Imagine a massive stone bridge lined on both sides with hundreds of wooden houses, shops, and chapels towering up to 6 stories high. The river rushes through the narrow stone arches below with such force that navigating a boat through them is known as shooting the bridge. And as you pass the southern gatehouse of the bridge, you are greeted by a gruesome sight. The severed tar-dipped heads of executed traitors stuck on long wooden pikes, staring down at everyone who enters the city. It is brutal, brilliant, and completely functional. London in 1558 is dirty, dangerous, and smells absolutely horrific. So why does it matter? Because this overcrowded wooden tinderbox was busy inventing the future. Tudor London solved through sheer necessity the blueprint for the modern urban sprawl. That frantic capitalist energy of the City of London, the haggling in the nave of St. Paul's, merchants cramming onto the bridge, laid the psychological foundation for the modern global financial capital. The Royal Exchange, which would open in 1571, would become a landmark in the city's development as a major trading center. The rowdy, chaotic entertainment district of Southwark gave birth to the modern entertainment industry. It created the environment that allowed a young playwright named William Shakespeare to arrive a few decades later and change literature forever. They didn't have steel, they didn't have grid planning, and they certainly didn't have sanitation, but they had an unstoppable momentum. The Tudor city teaches us that a megacity isn't just made of stone and mortar. It is made of people, commerce, and relentless adaptation. They figured out how to cram a 100,000 ambitious, desperate, and brilliant people into a tiny footprint and make it work. London survived the plagues. It survived the politics. And in 1666, when a great fire finally reduced this wooden labyrinth to ash, the DNA of the city was already so strong that they simply rebuilt it, bigger and better, right on top of the ruins. Every modern financial hub, every sprawling entertainment district, every congested city street owes a little bit of its soul to the muddy, bloody, magnificent chaos of 1558 London. What ancient megacity should we use AI to reconstruct next? Let me know in the comments below.